So it's around 9 a.m. on my first day of the baking process. I'm going to try to get this done in 2 days. And the first thing that I'm going to do is take my starter from yesterday and I'm going to make a Levain. So I'm going to, basically this is going to be an active version of my starter. So I'm going to do 50 grams of starter, 50 grams of all-purpose flour, and 50 grams of filtered water. And I'm going to wait until that at least doubles in size. Okay, so I'm going to tear out my scale. I'm going to start with 50 grams. I had a little trouble getting a good amount of lift on my first attempt at sourdough, so I read some things and I'm going to try increasing my amount of starter. So I got 50 grams there. I'm also completely out of bread flour and I don't think I'm going to be getting any anytime soon. So I'm going to do 25 grams of whole wheat flour. And I've had better lift when I've had whole wheat flour in here. And the rest in all-purpose. Tear it out again. And now 50 grams of water. Now I still have a good amount of starter for the next time I want to bake. Because I'm going to be using all of this. So this should be total about 150 grams. Okay, I'm going to wait until that doubles in. Okay, it is 1 o'clock. My starter has doubled in size. I drew a little line. I've been keeping it in the oven with the light on, and it stays really nice and warm. I can't believe how much heat the little light in the oven generates, but I do recommend that you put a little sticker on your oven to make sure you don't turn it on to heat up some pizza or something like that. This is the Levain that I'm going to be using, that I mixed in that first step. And now what I'm going to do is Autolyse the dough. So as I'm reading about this process is just getting the dough, the flour and the water to come together and to form gluten before we add the salt. And I'm going to start with 1,000 grams of flour. I'm going to do 700 grams all-purpose and 30 whole wheat, and 770 grams of filtered water. Okay, I plastic wrap this. I'm going to leave it for a half hour and return at 1:30. All right, so 1:30, my flour and water has autolysed and that gluten has developed. And now I'm going to add my salt and my starter. $150 grams of my Levain that I made this morning. And it looks nice and active, smells good. And I'm going to do the stretch and fold. And every 30 minutes for the next 2 to 3 hours, I'm going to bowl fold, just like that. So my bowl folding should have been done a while ago, but I was supposed to see something at the end of this, not just time. Okay, I'm trying to work more now that I'm learning more on intuition, and not that I have any intuition yet, but I'm looking for the signs that other people who have intuition say. Okay, see how it's starting to pull away from the bowl here? That's what I want to look for, supposedly. Right? So every time I bowl fold, it should be holding more of a shape because it's developing that gluten, right? But it's still pretty liquidy, and it's not really staying like this. When I come back in a half hour, it's gone to the sides again. It's not holding its shape that much. So I'm gonna be done for the night, and I'm gonna do my bulk fermentation in the fridge overnight. The first time I made this, I shaped it. Roughly, I let it rise again, and then I shaped it and I put it into my bowl lined with the flour and the tea towel. And when I came back the next morning, it had proofed up too much overnight, and it was deflated by the time I got it in the oven. And it still had a lot of good bubbles in it, but too much happened overnight in the shaping. So what I decided, I'm gonna do the shaping tomorrow. I'm trying to put this into a 2-day process here. So today, basically, I really didn't do much. You know, I was home, I was bowl folding, I mixed a couple things. It really wasn't that big of a deal. So tonight, I'm gonna do the bulk fermentation. Instead of during the day, I'm gonna do the bulk fermentation overnight in the cool temperature of the refrigerator. And then tomorrow, I'll see where it's at, I'll shape it, and I'll be able to be more a part of the process of checking it in the bowl for that final rise before it goes into the oven. And hopefully I can get it all done before it's too late to eat it. So for tonight, I've also been running out of plastic wrap. So I'm gonna put a bowl on top and it's gonna go in the fridge. Okay, it's 8 a.m. the next day. I've taken my dough out of the fridge. It seems a little less wet and it seems a little more sturdy. So I'm just giving it a bowl fold right now, and I'm gonna do a pre-shape. I assume that this is gonna take more time because in the directions it said that the bulk rise, which I did last night in the fridge, could have been done at room temperature. So if it's happening in the fridge and everything is all slowed down, it's gonna take time for my dough to reach room temperature again. So I have my clean cutting board, and I'm gonna flour this, and I'm gonna shape this into 2. All right, I'm gonna cut this in half. So there's gonna be a pre-shape, a bench rest, a final shaping, and then a proofing. So I'm hoping that this will come to room temperature in that time, and it will all be okay that I put it in the fridge overnight, because that would be the perfect schedule, because I'd love to have bread around dinner time, and yesterday wasn't that big of a deal, and today is not that early and seems workable. Let's hope it's workable. All right, so the main goal of shaping this dough is to create tension. So you're trying to make it taut on one end. So I'm folding it in on itself, and it is sticky, so we're gonna need more flour. Really well floured there on the bottom. All right, same with this one. Okay, I'm gonna cover these, and I'm gonna come back in 30 minutes. Okay, got my first one here. Now last time it stuck, so I'm not gonna be cheap. I'm gonna give these a few hours. They're still cool. I'm gonna come back and check them in an hour and see where we're at. I've been proofing since about, I guess it was 9:30, so it's 12, so it's been a couple hours. And what I'm looking for, or what the videos have told me I'm looking for, is that you don't want, when you poke it, for the indentation to completely stay, because that could be overproofed. And you don't want it to spring back too much. You want to basically just poke it and it should slowly spring back, which I think I'm at. So they still feel cool to me. They didn't really get super warm, which I'm not used to. But I've been preheating my Dutch oven in a 550-degree oven for 30 minutes, and I have a pan underneath it to combat some of the burning that I was having last time. Saw that on the tips as well. And I realized I only have one cast iron pot. So I'm gonna try one in the cast iron pot, and I'm gonna try another on a pan, and I'm gonna create steam by throwing water at the bottom of the stove. I've done that before while making French bread. So that's what's next. I have a razor blade, so I'm going to do my best. And this is going to go for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to check my oven spring. And this will be the one that doesn't have the Dutch oven. And we'll compare the two. And I kind of hate to think that one of them might not be as good, but maybe there's some people who don't have a cast iron one. It's been 20 minutes, and I'm taking the top off of this one. Two things I noticed on round 2 of my sourdough trial is this one did not smell as sour, because the other one I worked on for...
Mom, what are you doing?
I'm doing sourdough.
Sourdough?
Yeah. So the first one I noticed, that was like 4 days process of making that bread. That definitely fermented more and had more of a sour flavor. I actually thought it was, I kind of like didn't love it at the end. So maybe this will be a little bit better. Second thing, I was so afraid of it sticking. I put so much flour. Definitely next time I will brush some of the flour off. I spoke to my mentors, and they said they noticed that when I was flipping, that I may be knocking some of the air out of it. So I'm still lacking some oven spring. The main difference, which I think is cool to note, between the one I did on the pan and the one I did in the Dutch oven is not that different. This one's definitely a little flatter. But if you didn't have a Dutch oven to do this in, I think you could still make it happen. This is definitely too much flour. The crust looks good, and with all this flour you can't really appreciate the beautiful crust. So I'm gonna brush some of this off and slice it open after it cools.